Mind-blowing security features of the White House. If you're from the United States, you would know that the White House is quite an iconic building. And if you've got doubts about this, then you can leave it in the comments. But one thing you can't question is that the White House is where the President of the United States resides and takes office. Being the president of a free country like the United States is a very big position to occupy. It is a world-respected position that those who take on this position becomes world-recognized. In fact, it's such a commanding position to be in that it demands its Secret Service. And why not? After all, it has to protect the most important man in the most powerful nation in the world. Over time, there have been 33 known attempts at the lives of sitting U.S. presidents, and 4 of which were successful. It, therefore, connotes with every reasoning that measures must be taken at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue to prevent any attacks on the lives of the president, the first family, and anyone else who serves there. But protecting the president requires far more than just armed guards and motion-activated cameras. The true extent of the protection at the White House has never been, and shouldn't ever be, released to the public. While the White House might seem open about sharing some of its protective measures, it is quite logical to assume that the men and women of the Secret Service have thought of ways to counter or tackle any other scenario a would-be threat could conjure up. Now, some of these measures are crazy and mind-blowing, and it will be fun to talk about them while you learn to know more about the home of the world's most famous president. 21 days advance tour notice. Now, this might be the simplest security method in the White House, but it's quite an expression. When speaking of a secure location, one would hardly speak of a place that is so widely visited that it even offers tours in 11 different languages. But it's quite interesting that not just anyone can easily walk their way into the White House. Touring the White House requires some advanced planning. Public tour requests must be made through your member of Congress and submitted up to 3 months in advance, and no less than 21 days prior to your visit. Wondering why this is needed for a heavily guarded location like the White House? It's simple. 21 days advance tour notice allows the security to have an accurate head count of those coming and the ability to perform background checks on visitors. For obvious reasons, the tour is also guided through only select portions of the White House. And if you want to try your luck, you can try finding out what the president's bathroom looks like. Infrared sensors. We started with the basics. Now it's time for the heavy stuff. The White House ground is spread across acres and acres of land. And even if people are appointed to monitor every square meter, it still wouldn't be enough to know when someone intrudes, because humans can sleep. And in order to fail-safe this, every inch of the perimeter is surrounded in infrared lasers that detect even the most minuscule threat against the White House. And although there isn't anything special in using infrared on the White House ground, the sheer magnitude of them is mind-blowing. With such a level of security, it is expected that swarms of agents would descend on even the smallest intruder. Even the least dangerous, like a wayward squirrel, will be automatically detected and attacked. It happens many times anyway, but it's better to be notified of intruding squirrels than to let a single threat successfully pass by. Bulletproof windows. Even regular individuals build houses with bulletproof windows and doors, and use cars with bulletproof structural design. So, what would you expect of a location like the White House? Nothing short of a mystery, of course. Windows are typically vulnerable to firearms. Funny enough, in any photo you see of the White House, you'll also see countless windows. Even the resolute desk is positioned with the president's back turned to a bunch of windows in the Oval Office. Thankfully, they're some of the most impenetrable windows known to man. On November 11, 2011, an attacker fired 7 rounds from a semi-automatic rifle into the White House. And while one went wild, the others struck the ballistic glass, but not even consecutive shots could shatter the window. Surface-to-air missiles. I know, you've been waiting to hear about the shooting part. And here you go. Before you plan whatever attack against the White House, remember that Washington, D.C. is a no-fly zone. Any plane not scheduled or following the strict path into Ronald Reagan National Airport is first given a warning. If the plane doesn't show any sort of compliance, it is immediately taken down by one of the countless surface-to-air missiles located around the Capitol. While it's more of an urban legend than there's an Avenger-like missile system on top of the White House itself, it's known that many missile batteries are located in Washington, D.C. The White House may not be like the Avenger Tower, but it does have those high-tech laser systems that can detect any possible threat from a mile out, alerting other missile systems that then take down the threat. Think it's a DC myth? Just try taking a copter across. Drones. Drones recently came into the trend and have, over time, experienced great advancements. Photographers now use drones to take moving and still images, and quite the popularity. YouTubers now make video clips using simple, high-flying drones. And even though YouTubers are not allowed in the White House, there are a lot of drone systems in use. Just think of it as the Tony Stark preventative measures you saw in the Spider-Man Far From Home movie. In January of 2015, an unnamed government employee and amateur drone hobbyist was having fun with his drone outside the White House lawn after his shift. It was able to fly through the detection systems fairly easily until it hit the ground and set off countless alarm systems, sending every single agent into a frenzy. The man wasn't charged because he was an employee at the White House, and because it highlighted a major security fault in the systems at the time. Since then, the White House has employed drones of their own to act as both roving security cameras and to take down any other drones that come into the area. Coincidentally, the drones that the Secret Service now use are the same as that of the hobbyist. The Secret Service. Oh, you thought I wouldn't talk about this. I'm sorry, but it's just somewhat impossible to talk about security measures in the White House without talking about the Secret Service. And for those that don't know, the United States Secret Service is a federal law enforcement agency under the Department of Homeland Security charged with conducting criminal investigations and protecting the nation's leaders and their families. If you ever thought the Secret Service was a 20th century inauguration, then you are wrong. The Secret Service was founded in July 1865, Washington, D.C., United States, and has since been controlling the task of keeping the White House and the president safe. As of 2019, the Secret Service has over 7,000 employees, 20 overseas offices, and receives a surprising annual budget of $2.23 billion. The Secret Service is 154 years old and has managed to perform a great job in keeping the White House heavily guarded. Nevertheless, despite such a high level of security, the White House isn't completely immune to attack. And if you know of any faults in the security system, then do well to comment below without forgetting to like, subscribe, and share. God bless us, and God bless America.